Okay, people, let's talk bridges. Those things that help us avoid swimming across rivers? Yeah, those. We see them every day, right? But have you ever thought about what it takes to build one? Like, thought about it? I'm talking about the insane engineering skills, the physics, the math, basically, all the stuff that makes my brain hurt just thinking about it. It's like trying to understand the appeal of Crocs. Confusing, yet strangely intriguing. But what if I told you there's a game that lets you live out your wildest bridge-building fantasies? No, I'm not talking about playing with blocks in the bathtub, though who doesn't love a good bath time construction project? I'm talking about Polybridge 3, a game where you can design and build your very own bridges, with all the bells and whistles. So buckle up, bridge enthusiasts, and those of you who just like to see things crumble. We're about to dive into the wild world of bridge building, both in the virtual realm and the real deal, and see how they stack up. Hold up. Before we get all bridge crazy, let's talk about the masterminds behind these architectural marvels. Engineers. Yeah, those people who actually paid attention in physics class and know the difference between tension and torsion. These are the folks who take our crazy bridge dreams and turn them into reality. They're like the fairy godmothers of construction, except instead of waving magic wands, they use calculators and protractors. Less sparkly maybe, but way more effective. Now, I'm not saying engineers are superheroes or anything, though let's be real, they kind of are. But they definitely have a superpower, the ability to take a bunch of materials, wood, steel, concrete, you name it, and turn them into structures that can withstand the test of time, gravity, and most importantly, rush hour traffic. But how do these real-life bridge whisperers compare to the virtual engineers of Polybridge 3? Can a game truly capture the complexities of engineering? Let's find out. Alright folks, let's talk Polybridge 3. Imagine a world where you can build bridges over treacherous ravines, raging rivers, and maybe even a lazy alligator or two. Hey, a girl can dream. That's Polybridge 3 in a nutshell. This game lets you unleash your inner engineer, giving you the power to design and construct bridges using a variety of materials and tools. Think of it like a digital erector set on steroids. You've got your wood, your steel, your hydraulics, the works. And the best part? If your bridge collapses spectacularly, don't worry, it happens to the best of us. You can just hit reset and try again. No real-world consequences, no insurance claims, no angry commuters, just pure, unadulterated bridge-building bliss. But don't let the cutesy graphics and catchy music fool you. Polybridge 3 can be seriously challenging. You've got to factor in weight distribution, stress points, material strength, all that fun stuff that makes engineering so fascinating and occasionally hair-pulling. Now, let's shift gears from the virtual world to the real deal. Because while Polybridge 3 is a blast, real-life engineering is no joke. We're talking about structures that can span miles, withstand earthquakes, and carry the weight of thousands of cars every day. Take the Golden Gate Bridge, for example. This iconic beauty is like the Beyoncé of bridges, elegant, strong, and instantly recognizable. Building it back in the 1930s was no walk in the park. Engineers faced treacherous currents, strong winds, and even the occasional earthquake, all while using technology that was, let's just say, a tad less advanced than what we have today. Or how about the Millau Viaduct in France? This towering masterpiece is so high it literally looks down on clouds. Engineers had to invent new construction techniques just to build it. Talk about pressure. These real-world projects show that engineering is about more than just knowing your physics. It's about pushing boundaries, innovating, and maybe even shedding a few tears over complex equations along the way. From pixels to pavement, the great engineering divide. Okay, so we've established that both Polybridge 3 and real-life engineering involve building bridges, but that's kind of where the similarities end. Think of it like this. Polybridge 3 is like the rom-com version of engineering. Fun, lighthearted, and with a guaranteed happy ending, or at least a reset button. Real-life engineering? That's more like a gritty documentary, complex, challenging, and with real-world consequences. In Polybridge 3, you can play around with different materials, designs, and even cheat a little. Don't act like you haven't used the budget slider. But in the real world, engineers have to deal with things like building codes, environmental regulations, and let's not forget gravity, lots and lots of gravity. And while Polybridge 3 lets you rebuild your bridge as many times as you want, in real life you only get one shot. No pressure, right? Hydraulics 101, making things go up and down. Let's talk hydraulics, people. You know, those cool mechanisms that make parts of a bridge move up and down? Yeah, those are pretty much the stars of Polybridge 3. They're like the Beyoncé of bridge components. Flashy, powerful, and they always steal the show. In the game, you can use hydraulics to create drawbridges, suspension bridges, and all sorts of other fancy contraptions. It's like playing with giant, mechanized Legos, and it's seriously addictive. But even in the virtual world, hydraulics can be tricky. You've got to make sure they're placed correctly, calibrated just so, and have enough power to lift those massive bridge sections. Now, in real life, hydraulics are just as important. They're used in everything from car brakes to construction equipment to, you guessed it, bridges. Remember those fancy drawbridges we talked about? Yep, those use hydraulics to lift and lower the bridge deck, allowing ships to pass underneath. It's basically magic, but with more science and less glitter. Safety first? More like safety always. Okay, let's get real for a second. While we all love a good bridge collapse in Polybridge 3, admit it, it's satisfying. In the real world, bridge failures are no laughing matter. They can have devastating consequences, which is why safety is the #1 priority for engineers. In the game, you can get away with building flimsy bridges that barely hold together, as long as the car makes it across, right? But in real life, engineers have to adhere to strict safety regulations and use high-quality materials to ensure their bridges can withstand anything Mother Nature or a rogue semi-truck throws at them. They also have to consider factors like wind resistance, seismic activity, and even the possibility of a boat crashing into the bridge. Hey, it happens. Basically, they think of everything so you don't have to. That's why real-life bridges go through rigorous testing and inspections before they're open to the public. They're like the valedictorians of the infrastructure world, overachievers in the best way possible. Budgeting blues engineering's necessary evil. Let's be real, people. Even in the magical world of bridge building, you can't escape the dreaded B-word budget. Yep, even engineers have to deal with financial constraints. It's enough to make you want to tear down your blueprints and open a lemonade stand instead. You have to choose your materials wisely, optimize your design, and maybe even sacrifice some aesthetics in the name of affordability. Sometimes it means using less expensive materials or simplifying the design. The "it just works" factor, engineering's unsung hero. You know that feeling you get when you cross a bridge and you don't even have to think about it? Like it's just this magical structure that effortlessly carries you over an obstacle? That's the "it just works" factor, and it's the hallmark of great engineering. Sometimes the simplest, most elegant solution is the best. The true test of a good bridge is its functionality, and when they get it right, we often don't even notice. Level up your life engineering inspiration from unexpected places. So, what have we learned from our bridge building adventures? Well, for starters, engineering is way more complex and way cooler than it might seem. It's about problem solving, creativity, and a whole lot of math. Sorry, not sorry. But here's the thing. You don't have to be a certified engineer to appreciate the power of engineering. It's all around us, from the bridges we drive over to the smartphones we can't live without. So, the next time you're feeling stuck on a problem, channel your inner engineer. Think outside the box, experiment with different solutions, and don't be afraid to fail a few times, or a lot. We don't judge. And hey, if you need a little inspiration, just fire up a game of Polybridge 3. You might be surprised at what you can create and destroy, let's be real. Who knows? Maybe you'll even be inspired to build your own real-life bridge someday. Just remember to invite me to the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Bridging the gap, final thoughts. So, there you have it, folks. We've explored the wild world of bridge building, from the pixelated landscapes of Polybridge 3 to the awe-inspiring structures that grace our skylines. We've laughed, we've learned, and we've maybe even shed a tear or two for those poor, overworked engineers. But one thing's for sure, whether you're a virtual bridge-building champion or just someone who appreciates a good overpass, there's no denying the power and ingenuity of engineering. It's a field that pushes the boundaries of what's possible, connecting us in ways we never thought imaginable. So, the next time you cross a bridge, take a moment to appreciate the work that went into building it, and if you're feeling really adventurous, download Polybridge 3 and try your hand at building your own. Just remember to wear a helmet. Those virtual bridge collapses can be brutal, but oh so satisfying.